Ooh, what's this? Who's there to comfort you when you say bye-bye? I give you more time. What y'all know about that? I can't play the song that I want to play because of the platform that I'm on. So I keep telling y'all come hang out. Come and hang out. So we can really vibe out and libate and chill. Give me a moment. I see it's a few people in here. Let me get my benzoin going. I like that. Let me get my benzoin going. And then I'm going to ask y'all how y'all doing. I want y'all to be aware that this is Khamsin the Oracle. And it's my little place on YouTube where I love to share my heart. As an oracle and as someone, I consider myself to be an ascension specialist. So I have 2 near-death experiences. I died. It changed me forever. Never was the same again. All of my gifts were heightened, and I used them to be in service to others to create the new earth. So if you are new here, welcome. How you doing? Love and peace. I say love. I like it. I like it. So if y'all don't know about benzoin, this is the time to get it. I wish I would have had a link to put in here in the chat. I'm going to have to get a moderator that can help me with that. If somebody interested in helping me moderate, let me know, okay? So benzoin is tree resin, okay? Janae! Hey sis. That's my sacred sister right there. We need our own little thing that we do. We're gonna figure out what it is. But benzoin is tree resin. And this tree resin is so phenomenal that it will shift your mood instantly. And I know in a world where people make these huge claims about different spiritual tools that you can use and what it'll do, but I really mean this. And this is coming from somebody who has been depressed, who has dealt with anxiety, who has had suicidal thoughts, attempted suicide, been through so many different traumas. I have complex PTSD that I've been working through since I was 18 years old, and I'm 44. So, you know, it's no shame in any of these things, and this is why I like to share, because I have been empowered through shadow work, working with the dark goddesses, working with the subconscious mind and reprogramming, going into my traumas and reprogramming. So benzoin came into my life at a time where I really needed a breakthrough. I wanted to do a road opener because I could see that it was blockages keeping me from being the best version of myself. And that's when benzoin came into my life. And so Ganesha at the time was who had come to me in a dream. And so I was drawn to Ganesha. Working with the benzoin actually invited Ganesha into my life without having to try or force it. And we started using it when we did ceremonies and libates and chills and pujas with y'all and petitions. And it's so powerful. So yeah, if you have not worked with this, I highly recommend working with this. Even getting rid of those negative thoughts. Those are entities. Those are thought forms. We want to be able to hold on to this new version of ourselves that's being created right now, because we are very important to this planet and to everything that is happening. And I know that y'all feel it. We are not on the same earth we were always on. This is a whole new planet, and this is why we have to do things different. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to get into some of that. Thank you for the sacred smoke. Thank you for the opportunity to have another chance to do life different, to show up new, to write new verses to the song our souls came to sing. Thank you. Thank you for the sacred trees and the wisdom and the knowledge that they provide. We thank you. May you guide me in my words. May the dark goddesses surround me in the wisdom. Ashe. Okay. Okay. Receive that. Receive that. Receive that. Receive that. Receive that. Receive that. Don't think because y'all just on a device that you can't receive this, okay? It's something called quantum entanglement, energy healing. We don't have to be in the same location, right? Yeah. You can smoke your hands, your hair, your wigs, your feet, your clothes. When I buy new clothes, this is what I do. And this incense will actually bring abundance to you. So special. I don't want to burn it all. I want to save some. I'm only takes a very small amount of resin. And so I don't overuse it. I don't use it all. Ooh. And yeah, let me tell you, this takes you into a very calm, soothed, grounded state, and you go into an altered state of consciousness with this smoke. And this is why all indigenous cultures work with smoke. So it's very, very important to work with smoke right now. Okay. So as you can see by the title, I've been sitting on this for a minute, but as you can see by the title, that there is something that I think a lot of us forgot, or a lot of us didn't think about, and that's this. On the old earth, we created relationships out of fear. We probably didn't know. We were trying to survive. As women, we were trained to believe that being able to secure a man, being able to be chosen by a man, for him to pick you, for you to get married, that was like something that made you better than women who couldn't. We were raised in a culture where women were providers and also the nurturers, and we got so used to that. But we couldn't see beneath the surface that a lot of women, a lot of our mothers and mom mothers and grandmothers and aunties and just going back generations, they were slowly dying inside, trying to be everything to everybody and give everything to everyone, but they were not being reciprocated that love. A lot of men are now starting to feel the impact of this ascension process because a lot of women are being held back from overgiving. And when that starts to happen, and when a woman starts to notice that she is worthy of so much more than what she has accepted in her life, she's going to change. She's going to change radically and drastically. And it's not really anything that anybody can do to change it, because that's what we incarnated in the age of Aquarius to do. We incarnated to end generational curses. And it sounds beautiful, doesn't it? And it just gets you all excited. But when you really think about what does that mean? Well, one thing that means that a lot of people may not have noticed, but when your DNA is turned on, when the dormant DNA is turned on, all of your spiritual abilities become heightened. So maybe you were someone who was numb, and this was how you cope with the world and how you got through the world. And now all of a sudden you can hear people's thoughts and you can feel every little bitty thing, and you don't like being around a lot of people anymore, and you find yourself having to pull yourself away from people to just be with yourself and reflect and go within. And this is becoming something where we're just like, whoa, this is not how I used to be. And I'm going to make this, I want to simplify this, and I would like to just share for like 30 minutes with y'all. If you could answer that poll, that would be great. What's up, Black Bruja? Can you put the link to our website in the chat? Because I want y'all to get the benzo and start working with this energy, because as your DNA is being turned on, you're going to be processing genetic trauma. And that genetic trauma is also on top of processing the ancient trauma that we came here to heal. And I broke this down when we went over the 9-year prophecy calendar that everybody on Patreon received, okay? On every tier. So what's happening to us is anything the generations before you did not deal with, it is now falling on you. It's like passing the baton. And even though a lot of us don't remember past lives or what soul contracts we had, this is what we came here to do. And it shows up in various ways. Sometimes your ancestors' personality is the front personality for you, and you have taken a step back and don't know. And this is why we have to pull away and reflect and go within. When we had the lockdowns, I channeled a message as to what that was on a spiritual, metaphysical level. And what that was a time out. This is a time out for those who are guardians of the galaxy. Those who came to regenerate the dormant abilities within us and to be able to become an illuminated version of ourselves. That's what we came here to do. And so with doing that, that also means we needed a time out because we are very immature, a lot of us, emotionally, because of a lot of the traumas that we experience. If you can remember your first traumatic experience, whether you can remember it or not, it's still there and it imprinted onto you. So for a lot of us, we stop developing emotionally at the age we experience some of our most profound experiences. And what happens is, like for me, growing up, being the, I didn't fit in, and I was often scapegoated. I was often blamed for things I did not do. This just went to the level of going to jail for something I didn't even do. And I couldn't wrap my mind around why. I knew that I was different. I could see spirits. I could communicate with people's energy while they were in conversation with me. I'm listening to the energy. And I say that on the old earth, actions did speak louder than words. But on the new earth, energy speaks louder than actions. So this is something that I've been operating in my whole life. And what I learned was that experience was the genetic trauma I came to clear. Attached to that was a lot of guilt. Oftentimes, I would do things out of feeling guilty. If I made a certain amount of money and it was somebody close to me who financially maybe was struggling, if I didn't pay their bills for them or take them shopping or whatever it is, give them some money, I would pay. I had dudes that I was like close friends with and exes with, and I would pay for their child support for them. Like, this is how free, open, and giving I was, and I didn't think nothing about it. I was just like, oh, you need $900, you need $1,000. Oh, okay, cool. And I didn't know at the time that I was actually leaking my energy. I wasn't carrying myself like I was valuable. People didn't really have to invest anything to get anything from me. And a lot of that was because of my religious programming, that I thought that I was here to be a martyr, that I was here to die to serve other people and to serve God, that I was here to suffer just like Jesus did. And so I took those teachings to heart and I lived those teachings. I might have had some periods where I was doing whatever I wanted to do, but I would always come back to those teachings, and each time I would feel guilty, so I would try to embody the teachings more strongly. Well, that's ending for a lot of us. Religious programming was the opioid of the masses used to keep us docile so that there would not be uprisings and revolutionaries and visionaries and people starting new waves on the planet. And as you can see, that's going away. Okay? So when we had the lockdowns, which I dreamed about in 2007, between 2006 and 2007. When we had those lockdowns, what ended up happening was our DNA was turning on so fast, it was driving us into overwhelm. We needed to slow down. We needed to stop. Every single church on the planet had to stop because the contract for us to be lullabied to sleep with doctrines that teach us to sacrifice ourselves was ending. This is no longer the way to a person obtaining the higher experience of self-love unconditionally. So everything had to stop. For the first time since monotheistic religions were created, everything had to stop. It was nothing happening at the Jerusalem wall. It was nothing happening around the cobblestone. It was nothing happening at the churches with steeples over top of them that are phalluses and the domes over top of them that are womb spaces. We can get into the worship of the genitals. This is what this was founded on. Christianity began as a sex cult. Now, I'm not going into too much into the history of that, or shall I say the herstory of that, but in the beginning, there are many, many books, and there's a long list of books that's available. You can do a Google search yourself and do your own research. So what happened was we got so deep into the disillusionment, we couldn't figure out why things were so off. So we needed the lockdown. We needed to stop. We needed life to come to a halt. This is just like when you put your children in timeout. You're like, look, you got to go to your room. Go to your room. Think about what you did. Think about what you said. And then after you're done, we can talk, right? This is what happened to us. This was a galactic time out. It wouldn't have happened no other way. So we're running around here X-Men with powers, third eye being activated, heart chakra is now vibrating in a way that we can't manipulate life through ego anymore. So you're being forced to learn how to be love-based consciousness, using sex to deal with the fact that you don't feel confident or good about yourself. For a lot of men, women became their battery, right? I'm going to dump this in you because I don't know how to deal with it, all these emotions. I need sex to make me feel better. I need liquor to make me feel better. I need weed to make me feel better. I need food to make me feel better. This is, we've just been drugging ourselves to death. We were zombies. And now that the heart is coming online, for those of you who've been with us for a while, you know that we created the heart chakra compassion activation. And a lot of us did that together. And I realized that it was actually ahead of its time because that's really just now kicking in. And so what happens with that is, especially, I'm speaking from the feminine principle right now because I'm going to get into the cards that I pulled for this time. But when a woman's heart is online, she believes your energy. She don't believe your actions. Did you just hear that? She believes your energy, not your actions. So for a man having that experience, and this woman has her DNA turned on, she is literally a walking antenna, receiving transmissions 24/7, bypassing the ego, right? Able to see things as they are, no rose-colored glasses. Sounds great, but it is uncomfortable. I'm going to keep it real with you. And her man is doing things for her because he knows the old earth, actions speak louder than words. So let me do this for her. He's attached to the outcome. He's attached to what doing that thing for her may get him or do. And an awakened woman going through the ascension process is like, but your energy is showing me desperation. Your energy is showing me that you lack confidence and you are not grounded. I'm looking at you and you're breathing in your chest, or you're not breathing at all and you don't know. This is what a zombie really is. It's someone who has received trauma throughout their lifetime and they haven't integrated these traumas or with their shadow self, and so they are in fight or flight. or freeze or fawn. So the brain's operating system is not functioning properly, which throws off the neurological system, the nervous system, the circulatory system, and everything just goes down here from there. Vagus nerve is not being stimulated, and he's in survival mode. He's trying to get attention from this woman or connect with this woman on the way we did on the old earth, because he doesn't realize his nonverbal communication is louder than his actions. So when I say energy speaks louder than words, that's what I mean. For men who are working with feminine energy and being activated, you also have this capacity now. This changes everything. This changes the whole game. The old relationship where we see them buy you chocolates and flowers and shit like that, Valentine's Day will never be the same, because we are being called to upgrade. We're being called to be more transparent, more vulnerable than ever. And for a lot of men, vulnerability is difficult. Women too, but for different reasons. So in a relationship, if a man is still in a 3D paradigm, meaning his operating system is based in patriarchy, religion gave men a lot of leverage and a lot of flexibility, but it restricted the women. And so what that did was it created an imbalance. It created an internal conflict between men and women. So if the man has constantly been told he's the head of the household, he's the head of the household, he runs shit, he runs shit, he runs shit, don't do nothing unless you go through him first. Over time, there is no consciousness that says, okay, but what am I supposed to do as a head of a household? What responsibilities is that? Because for a long time, we thought that it was just material. And a lot of men got away with this. I mean, if they provided, paid bills, that was it. And I'm sure some of y'all can attest to this. Like grandmama and grandpa, if grandpa was paying the bills and he was a Rolling Stone, grandmama wasn't going to say a word. They had their 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 kids, and that's what it was. That paradigm is over. We can no longer live in trauma reenactments and call them relationships, because it hurts our children. It hurts the planet. When we're suffering, the planet is suffering. We are the ones that create this simulation. Not alone, there are others. Those who were the powers that used to be made sure the entertainment also piggybacked on this. And this is that dark alliance that I have talked about before. And this is because it's a soul economy. And I'm going to say something because I don't want to support the 3D Matrix. So if you don't like this and you don't want to listen to me anymore, that is okay. I honor that. But I'm not going to bite my tongue, because I don't like to taste blood in my mouth. So let me just tell you, if you're operating in that consciousness, you're going to be depressed. You're going to feel like a failure. You're going to have financial issues. You're going to lack clarity. You're going to have a difficult time connecting, especially connecting with an awakened woman if you are not an awakened man, or connecting with an awakened man if you are not an awakened woman. It go both ways. But remember, we have both male and female energies within us. So, with that being said, you're either going to get on board with what you've been saying, or you're not. This is the separation of the two earths. There is no in-between anymore. We like burnt out the in-between space. We've been trying to hover in the in-between while this whole ascension process is happening, as we go from one age to the next. From age of Pisces, that was all about believing, to the age of Aquarius, that's more so about, but what do you know to be true? There is a language of the mind, there is a language of the ego, there is a language of the heart. So what happened was, we burnt that out. We were creating thought forms. We were doing things that were not only hurting us, but hurting others. And honestly, because of these programmings, because of hip hop, because of the way they weaponize R&B, a lot of men don't know how to create safety for their partners, because they don't feel safe. They don't know how to be vulnerable. Because it's this feeling of, if I be vulnerable, I'm being weak. And I already feel like I'm not valuable because I don't know where I fit in anymore. And those of you who are single and dating right now, I'm sure y'all can attest to this. So the difference is, we got new glasses in 2020 because of 2019 was the galactic new year. It was the blue storm wave spell galactic new year. So we got new glasses. And now we can see all of the things in the shadows we could not see before. But we usually see it in other people first. Okay, because relationships are meant to be mirrors. Most people do not see their own shadow self because that's why it's called a shadow. It's a blind spot. It's compartmentalized. You have all types of justifications and reasons all around it, so you don't really accept that it is what it is. Now, we got the dating apps giving you that dopamine hit real quick, real quick. You could just be done with somebody and have a date with 5, 6, 7 other people. Just that quick. So I don't have to really make an investment. On top of that, you got social media always showing you the greener grass on the other side, but you don't see the snakes in it. So this is working on your brain. These dopamine hits are not beneficial for us. Take time away from your devices. If you are already in a relationship, y'all should be taking time away from each other and devices, because the brain's neurochemistry is being altered. When we started to access 5D consciousness, what did the powers that used to be bring out? They brought out 5G, because 5G is the antithesis to 5D. We can get into the hertz, the millihertz, and the way that they affect our emotions. Our nervous systems, it's being rattled with radiation that we are not used to. You cannot live like this ain't happening. You have to make adjustments. And you have to ask yourself, okay, what can I do to adapt? What can I do to become more resilient? So back in the day, because of hip hop, and I'm not going to say hip hop, but rap, weaponized hip hop, rap, right? We were being shown these images of people with gold chains and big houses and cars. And for a lot of us, especially if you grew up in poverty, like that looked like a come up. And so for a lot of us, that was really all we required. It wasn't nothing else. We didn't know nothing about no secure attachment, fearful avoidant, dismissive avoidant, anxious preoccupied love attachment. We didn't know anything about shadow work, subconscious programs, narcissistic abuse, scapegoating, gaslighting, borderline personality disorder, high functioning autism, ADHD, depression, BPD, bipolar. We knew nothing about how these things impacted our relationships. Now that we have access to all of this knowledge, there has to be something that's creating resistance coming from the other side. So when we went from 2G to 3G, our consciousness was going from 2D to 3D. And when we finally fully immersed ourselves in 3D, they came out with 4G, because we were moving into 4D, which is consciousness of thought. And so what our thoughts created for us 10 years ago, 19 years ago, we're now seeing the impact of those thoughts from that many years ago, to help us to mature and take responsibility for the things that we think about and learn how to work with spiritual tools, energy, spirit guides, archetypes that are the architects of the spiritual realm, so that we can figure out, okay, but what connects this to this? Why am I like this? Like attracts like. Why do I attract emotionally unavailable people? Right? So a lot of men, that was how they attain women. I'm going to get me a gold chain, some jewelry, some nice shoes, make sure my kick's fresh, make sure I'm smelling good. Y'all remember that? They show smelling good. Let me make sure I buy her some roses. That shit worked in 3D. It don't work in 4D. Definitely do not work in 5D. Only if your heart is online, and for so many men, they have closed that space. So on a man, his heart. So on a woman, first of all, let's say this, because we working with polarities. So a woman's yoni is a negative polarity. Okay. A man's phallus is a positive polarity. This is why they attract. So as we see the polarity changing with people's sexuality, then energetically that's occurring as well because of these fluctuations and vibrations, quickenings, activations, and shifts. There is no wrong and right. It's what's authentic for you. Because if what's authentic for you is not authentic for somebody else, it's right for you, but it might not be right for somebody else. So it's based on what's authentic to you. There is no blanket statements anymore about what's wrong and what's right. That's black and white thinking. And black and white thinking, it's one of the most common characteristics of mood disorders, personality disorders, and issues with trauma. Okay? It splits our thinking. So what men were doing was, women became surrogate mothers to men. And a lot of men may not be able to see this or admit to this right now, and a lot of men might be able to. But women were that soft place that they come to be comforted. See, the yoni of the woman was the real church, right? She was the one doing the rebirths. She was the one doing the baptisms. See, everything that we see in religion, this is why they walk around a Kaaba stone made of a meteorite. It's a cube, hyperdimensional cube, which creates consciousness. The meteorite, the Kaaba stone, is shaped just like a yoni, a black yoni. And why do they migrate in circles around this? It's not just because of Saturn and the rings. It's deeper than that. As above, so below. So this is why the whole Jesus archetype, right? He always hung out with women. You know, he usually like married. She was a hoe, and she was like his best friend. There's a lesson in these teachings. And so we're looking deeper, and we're asking questions. Questions that we weren't allowed to ask on the old earth. So what happens when you get all these upgrades, you got to be accountable for the shit that you say. You got to be accountable for the things that you think. And you got to be accountable for the way you react to people. And a lot of men react in ways that cause women to pull away, close down, and shut down. Because it don't feel safe. You know, losing your temper and that. Like, we saw that in movies and stuff and it looked normal. And you probably saw your family do it too. But no. Just because something appears to be normal don't mean that it is. That's unacceptable. A man that cannot regulate his emotions has proven that he is not safe to be around. And this is why we see so many women being unalived. And I just saw a report the other day where a man decapitated his girlfriend. She had been his girlfriend for a long time. He didn't even know why. He blacked out. Well, what's happening when these crimes are happening? You know, these things we hear about all day, every day now. That's not normal. And the dark energy in 2020 that came in, and I told y'all about it's on Patreon, but I saw the portals open, and I saw those entities coming in during the Lionsgate portal. And I kept thinking to myself, this is not going to be something that a lot of people are going to be able to deal with. Because dark matter energy has a component to be highly programmable. So if your mind thinks about negative stuff a lot, you ruminate, you think about conversations that you had, you wonder why people looked at you the way that they did, all of these things, what happens is all of that rumination in the mind is creating thought forms and entities that are here as archons to feed off of these dense emotions. They are feeding from you. So your life force is being drained. Your psychic energy is being drained. So you're not going to have the emotional resilience to really connect the way that we're supposed to. So the lockdown was our time out. Now they brought us out of time out, and they like, what you go do? We gave y'all time to think. We gave y'all time to do shadow work. During the whole lockdowns, as much as we could, we was getting that work in over here. Was anybody with us during that time? Because I knew this was coming. And I was like, I want people to be ready. I love to see people win. I want people to be ready. Because I don't, if you don't do the work, then you're going to feel like an imposter all the time. And it's going to seem like you might say stuff like, people just don't understand me. I'm going through a spiritual awakening right now. What's up, Misty? That's my other sacred sister right there. But people don't understand me. I'm going through the awakening. I'm getting light codes and downloads and DNA activations. Like, we've been talking all that talk, right? I'm a goddess. I'm a god. I'm a king. I'm a queen. I'm an emperor. I'm an empress, right? All of that. And we are. But at what point are you going to be able to embody that consciousness and actually start changing your reality? That's the point where we change the world. And ain't nobody coming to do it for us. So we got to pull ourselves away from people pleasing, from trying to make people happy with us, afraid to disappoint people. Let people be disappointed. It's their divine right, if that's what they choose. Let people play with their own thought forms. Don't expose yourself. And most of y'all that resonate with me are empaths or highly sensitive persons. So you're really, really sensitive to energy. Don't give energy to something that's not serving you. Because when you allow people to draw you into conversations and situations that's beneath where you being called to be, you're activating the old earth timeline. You're activating the 3D experience. And whatever trauma you experience in 3D, you're going to re-experience it while you right where you at. Some of us are in great relationships that are difficult because it's helping us to evolve. But if we are perceiving this through the lens of unprocessed trauma, unprocessed grief, we're not going to even be able to see the benefit in that. There's a benefit in having a partner who is emotionally unavailable or emotionally reactive. Like, there's a benefit in all of those things, and all of the content that I create, I take from the negative experiences. You can't get rid of them. You learn how to do the alchemy of life and work with them. So I pulled some cards about this because I'm writing a guidebook for people going through the ascension, because it's different. Like I said, this is why people not having sex. This is why people don't want to go out on dates. This is why women are talking about decentering men and they just go be single. Like, this is why this is happening, because we really were a part of the problem and didn't know. And that's okay too. We all are on our separate journey, and the timing is different for each and every one of us. But I'm telling you, if you do the work, if you work on not being codependent, if you work on not being insecurely attached, if you work on not being easily triggered, not being easily made to feel ashamed of things, not being made to feel guilty, right? Because if somebody is making you feel guilty, you have a role to play in that too. So you have to take responsibility for that. This is what growing up is. And we are the children of the galaxy. And we are being forced to grow up right now. So I asked, for the Shadow Collective and those who are unafraid to go into their personal traumas, to find their triumph, what message do you have for us? And I asked this question probably 3 or 4 times, and every time I kept pulling the same card. I don't remember this ever happening. And this was different decks that I was pulling the same card. And the card that I kept pulling was Oya. And Oya, she is a storm, but it's for the purpose of deliverance. So it says death, destruction, woe and loss, deep despair amongst chaos. Withstand the storm to be free. Deliverance is liberty. By the power of the dark goddess in me, protection in place, blessed be. Turbulent, unsettling times reach a climax, heralding the end of something major in your life that you can no longer avoid. Take Oya's hand now as she blows it all asunder, scattering the debris of the past far and wide. Oya will ensure no hint of the difficulties remain, and lead you through this time of death and chaos to something new. Deliverance is her gift. When you face death in all forms, for without death, the cycle of life would cease to exist. We would cease to be, and all that you have yet to experience would not have the space nor opportunity to manifest itself. This African goddess of old is to be welcomed and treasured, as her presence now is the stimulus you need to move forward in your life. Trying to make on this immense force of nature or fight against it will prove your undoing. Learn this lesson now, and what awaits will make it all worthwhile. I don't know who that spoke to, but it definitely spoke to me. And this is some of the foresight of some of the things that could be happening in our lives that's giving us this invitation to work with this energetic stream of consciousness, this wisdom. A house moved further afield is likely. So some of us could be going through a transition where we're being called to move because our energy is needed somewhere else. Letting go of old patterns and behaviors. That's everybody. If you're awakening, if you're not and you choose the illusion, because we do have free will, kind of. That's another conversation for another time. But if you're not choosing the solution, by default, you're choosing the problem. And it's going to crystallize. So with these DNA activations, you can resist, but it's futile. And it's going to create suffering. For some of us, a job is coming to an end. So many people, especially like medical field, lawyers, like people in certain positions where they're noticing like the toxicity in what they do, and they're like, I don't want to do this no more. People book readings with me just to talk to me about that, and they're just like, am I crazy? But I'm wanting to walk away from this job. The salary is good, but I'm not feeling what I'm doing, and I don't like how it feels to know that what I'm doing is hurting people. You know what I'm saying? So like, yes, a lot of people jobs coming to an end. So we needed to have the experience of the lockdowns and the pandemic for people whose soul contract was meant to end that, to come out of that consciousness. Maybe deaths, people actually losing people that they love, and it's going to shift your outlook. Death has been shown to us to be this thing that is to be feared, to be avoided at all costs, hence all the life insurance policies and stuff that we can get. But it's inevitable. Everything that we love will die. But energy does not cease to exist. It takes on new form. So yes, it's difficult. Yes, there's grief involved. There are typically 5 to 6 stages of grief depending on which blueprint you work through. And so knowing those things can help you because it's going to happen. And so many people have left this planet because of someone else's agenda. I'll just say that. The soul economy needed more souls because we have been pulling ourselves out of soul contracts left and right. And they like, look, they throwing the economy off. We need some souls. Now, we can talk that talk on the other platform with the VIP tribe. It's all there. For some of us, we may be experiencing ending of an unhealthy relationship. It's for a lot of us. You know, and you don't always have to end the relationship by moving into different spaces. Sometimes, you know, what I choose to do is I recreate myself in my relationship. Probably every 6 months to a year, I recreate myself. Everything about me. I make it new. My partner don't ever feel like he with the same woman. And I don't think that it was ever supposed to be that way. The feminine is ever changing. So to expect a woman to never change is to keep her stagnant and not allow her to grow. And how the hell she gonna feel connected to you and want to be intimate and you keeping her stagnant? So we create relationship resets where we literally act like we do not know each other and start all over again and get to know each other all over again. And we might fight like cats and dogs, but at the end of it, we're going to make sure that we talk to each other like we respect each other. I said, talk to me like you love me. You can be upset, but talk to me like you love me. And if you can't do it right now, write me a letter when your head is cool. Use your exercises, use your breath work. Go and get grounded. Whatever bitches and hoes and whatever you want to call me, get it out. And then when you're done, come talk to me or bring me a letter or text me. Just being flexible. And this allows the unhealthy dynamics in relationships to not control the relationship. This new shit, right? This is new. Not sleeping in the same bed. If that is not helping you, if your clairvoyance, clairsentience, clairaudience, all that is coming online, and you are literally processing your partner's thoughts while they sleeping ever so well, then maybe you need to talk to them and say, I think we need to sleep sometimes in separate places because I'm not resting as well. And he may not have this DNA activation turning its on for him. So he may not be listening to your thoughts all night long. So it's up to us to communicate that and not be afraid of what's going to happen. Because if you are afraid of losing your partner for keeping it real, their relationship is bound to fail anyway. You have to be in a healthy relationship by not being afraid of losing them. That's what creates a healthy relationship. As long as fear is the foundation of the decisions that are made in the relationship, well, fear and love is like oil and water. And you're just going against the grain. You're just making it more difficult and creating resistance. I will be getting into more of that because, like I said, I really do feel like this is what my calling has been, to help people be architects of the life that they deserve. And as far as relationships, like these things usually just come natural to me. And some of it might shock y'all, but I'm going to get into that and share that. Let me keep moving through this because I already been on here much longer than I said I was. At birth and the family might be announced, so some people might be having babies. We in Scorpio season right now too, so that's another. It's kind of like you've been stripped buck naked and you're feeling yourself, your emotions more strongly. Your communication may be more direct and assertive, and so when you have more directness in your communications, sometimes you can have these moments. I do feel like people will be more intimate if they lean into this energy right now. So it could be some babies and some new births are being announced. And don't be afraid to ask for help. That's one thing Oya always was leading me to. Like, don't be afraid to ask for my help. I was scared. I was like, hold up. Let me tell y'all why I was scared of Oya. She is the archetypal reaper of the African origin. Oya symbolized the first and the last breath of life. That's deep. I could talk about that for hours, just that all by itself. And remember, I've crossed over the crossroads and came back to my physical body twice. So Oya was very familiar with me. I was just afraid of working with her and learning from her. She is the primordial deity of immense power and influence, and she was linked to both the Niger and Amazon rivers. Remember, the Niger River is low, and it's so low now that drawings and communications are on the rocks and they're reading it. That's not a coincidence. They knew in this time what's happening with the planet, droughts was going to be happening, and they left messages for us. I haven't really looked into what those messages are, but that is going to be interesting to see, and to see if it's connected to Oya. Yet more often than not, it was the fiercest of winds that herald her presence. She was a compassionate guardian of the unborn, who after death she delivered to the other side. Wow, that's deep. So in a time where a lot of people are having miscarriages because of Jabberwockies that they was forced to take, so much of that is happening. We need these energies. We need this archetypal consciousness to help us with this. You gotta ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. I got a therapist, a psychiatrist. I hire coaches for everything that I need and want to learn. Do not be afraid to ask for help, y'all. Okay, that time is over for us to feel that way. So it's okay if you feel ashamed. It's part of being human. But let me give some warnings. If you have been intellectualizing this awakening process and you do not have routines in place to give you a solid foundation to build the new you on, you're gonna find the energies coming in to be very difficult. Our digestive system is changing. Our organs are shifting once again. And that's just the physical component. So that we can anchor more light, more energy, more streams of consciousness. The sun is waking up into the 6 solar cycles, sending immense amounts of plasma. We are receiving exorcisms of things that do not serve us from the energy of Betelgeuse. Sirius A and B are also colluding with this whole plan to assist us in all of the planets. We have the 8 spheres being activated, and this is the reason that in our cities and wherever you live, you can see the difference. There's even this blackness that is on the walls, and we could call it mold, but it's deeper than that. It's a dark energy that's on the planet. And we can thrive in this. It's meant to help us thrive. And so many of us need systems that work for us. You need discipline and devotion. Without those 2 D's, it's going to be difficult. So if your body is speaking to you, if your digestive system, because I know for me lately, my digestive system don't like a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff that I thought was good for me, my body been rejecting it. Spinach, kale, my body like, hell no. And I'm like, well, it's alkaline and it's green. And my body like, no. And I started having some bladder issues and kidney issues. And I'm like, I'm eating as healthy as possible. But my body is upgrading. And it's like, baby, you got to change when we change. You have to adapt. So it's a constant evolution that we're being drawn to be participants in. Stretching. Please don't be going to bed without stretching. Even if you don't spend but 5 minutes. And I know for some of us we have health issues, or maybe we work a lot, or maybe we got just a lot on our plate. But squeeze 5 minutes in for yourself. If you catch yourself on social media doom scrolling, remember Khamsin said, get your ass off of there and stretch. Get your ass off of there and breathe in your belly so that you can soothe your nervous system. You're getting all these huge dopamine hits. That's why we lonely. We got people around us and we still lonely because we're not even in our body. If you're not tending to your body, you will disassociate from your body. Your consciousness will leave your body to not have to deal with the messages, the alerts. Can you imagine every device in your house going off all the time like it's a tornado and ain't no tornado? That's what our body be having to deal with. And so if you are ignoring that, then you are teaching your body that you do not love yourself. Remember, I told you energy speaks louder than actions. So you want to make sure that you are working in these new levels of consciousness. Listen to your body. Give your body what your body needs. Take time away. And it is addictive. Social media is the new opioid. It came in to replace religion. And it does. It keeps us docile. It keeps us distracted. And it keeps us busy. But as long as we're doing that, we're not going within. Even if you like content that's about going within, if you're not actually doing it, you're not going to get the benefit from it. And then when you don't get the benefit from it, you feel disappointed and you feel let down. And it just starts the cycle over and over again. So pull away from that. It drains your life force. It's bad on your vision. And it also reduces oxytocin. So that bonding chemical, you're being cheated. And we're becoming deficient in the things necessary for human connection. We're more connected than ever. We can sit here and do this now, but we still feel lonely. We still feel disconnected. So get in your body. Fellas, if you overuse the masculine hemisphere of your mind. Women too. I shall say the masculine. If you think, and you know you think too much, you're not in your body. Because you can't be present in your body while you are up in your head thinking. And that's dangerous because that's where the battlefield is. The heart is the throne of divinity, God, Goddess. It's the pathway to the spirit realm. The heart sits in the body. Don't sit up here. So you have to come back to the body. This is why Kali, the goddess of time and space, she is a representation of Akasha. She severs heads. That's a symbolism of coming out of your head, coming out of your ego. And it is necessary. So when you're not in your body, you ruminate thoughts, you're disconnected, you might be tired and not know, you might have some discomfort and not know. You'll just ignore your body, keep pushing yourself. A lot of women can't even have sex with men now because they have retreated inside of their head. They up in their mind. Thinking, and you're like, where are you right now? Oh, I'm here. And it's just like, no, you're not. If your psychic energy is somewhere else, you're somewhere else because your awareness is somewhere else. And your energy will always flow with your attention going. Energy speaks louder than actions. So you might be in the action of intimacy, but if your mind is somewhere else, your energy is somewhere else, which means you are not safe. Because something else can be cohabitating in your body with you, interacting with your partner. And I have had entities literally try to take me over. And I'm like, no, no, we're not doing this. Where to Palo Santo? Let me get me some Epsom salt and get in the tub. No. Something else was trying to come into me. Something I could feel myself thinking about things I don't usually think about, worrying about stuff. Something was just constantly attaching to me, and it just felt off. And it's just like this experience like none other. When you are being, these spiritual entities, they don't ask consent. You know what I'm saying? So pay attention to these things. And I think that those are the main warnings that I wanted to give. So I don't know if anybody answered the poll, but I wanted to know, okay, 35 votes. Okay. So we got people who are in relationships and not. Okay, cool. Okay. 63% of y'all are not and only 37 are. Wow. Why y'all not? Wait a minute. The people that's not in a relationship, I was supposed to be getting off of here. Wait a minute. Hold on. Why y'all not in relationships right now? What's going on? What happened? Like, y'all just choosing not to be in relationships, or just is the dating world crazy? Like, what's going on? Let me end the poll now. Thank y'all so much for taking that poll. What's going on? Cause from what I'm hearing from women is that it don't feel safe to date. Men feel really ungrounded, unstable, and they just ain't crazy. Look, I'm not trying to be against nobody, but that's just what it is. That's what we call crazy. What's going on? Goodness. I did not expect that many single people to be up in here. Not choosing. Not safe. Let me pull one more card then. Okay? Because do y'all know how dangerous this is? For us to not know how to create safe relationships? For us to not know when we're disassociated from our body? When we're not in the present moment? I told y'all, when you worry and ruminate, you're time traveling. You're living in the future. When you're anxious about something that hadn't even happened and you're catastrophically thinking something is going to happen, you are sending all of your life force energy to a future moment that hasn't even happened yet. This exposes you to the entity attachments, to the thought forms. They need a body to do stuff. Y'all do understand that we are portals, and every chakra within us is also a portal. So there is a level of consciousness, awareness, and responsibility we have never had before. Okay, I ain't gonna rant. Let me read this card, but I'm looking. Yeah, can't connect since my awakening. Jules, say that. We upgraded, sis. No more trauma bonding. Yes, Misty. That's why. Think about this. If you've been calling for your I divine self, which is what, if you're new here, that's the higher self, the highest version of you. Okay? If you've been calling for that and your value is increasing, your soul's power is increasing because the soul has 7 pieces to it, right? And we're going through these quickenings to recall these parts of our soul. If you're going through that expansion, and if your capacity to affect reality is heightened, then coming together with another person could be nuclear. Like, I mean that. See, we're more dangerous than we used to be. Y'all get that? With power comes responsibility, right? With rebirth comes destruction. And we can't meet on that level anymore because it creates a third energy. And that third energy reverberates through all dimensions, all timelines. I jumped into a timeline day before yesterday. Oh, I be having so much I be wanting to share with y'all. Y'all got to start liking the channel, subscribing, watching, sharing. Y'all got to do all of that so more people can get these messages, y'all. The more active you are with people who resonate with, a level of communication spiritually, when you do that, you're actually healing the planet. It ain't just healing you. I just want to chime in and say that. But I jumped into a timeline that's a parallel reality to here. It's like a offshoot of this timeline. You do realize that 15 people could make 15 decisions, and those ripples will create an offshoot, a branch of a timeline to have a different experience. Okay, so this is why when you have conversations with people who are still in a different consciousness, and you start participating in drama triangles with people, becoming the hero or the victim or the villain, when you do that, you actually activate the things that we know we came here to not be a part of, right? So you, like they tell you when debt collectors call, like, don't even answer the phone, because if they get you to answer the phone, then they can automatically say that you approved the fact that you owe that debt. And now by law, you got to pay that debt. And it's just like that. When you're clearing karma and you step into your dharmic reality, which is the reality of passion, of bliss, of your dreams coming true and your sacred calling, participating in anything other than that is making an investment in that reality. And so that's what you're going to experience, because that's what you invested your energy into. And this is why when we pull away from arguments and stuff like that with people, and disagreements and certain conversations, we drain them of the energy that they used to eating off of us. You got to starve people sometimes. You got to be like, I'm not even going to feed that. I'm not going to feed that. I don't want no parts of what that's going to give birth to. I'm stepping away. I do not consent. I do not consent. Nope. Decline. Leaving it on red and leave it there. But in this timeline, men had such a difficult time connecting in relationship that they stopped having children. And the population declined so drastically that some doctors had to figure out a way to help men to have children without women. And in that timeline, because I sat down and talked to the guy. We talked for a long time. I had so many questions. And he told me, he was just like, I'm a computer programmer. And I think he said he did real estate on the side. And he said, I make a lot of money. He said, but a lot of the women that I meet, I just don't know how to connect to them. And he was just like, and I really wanted a son. before I got too old, I wanted to be able to raise a son. And this guy was like probably 6'8". He was so tall, like a huge football player. And I was just like, that, I understand that. And so he was like, I'm going to introduce you to my son. So he went and got his son. We was standing in front of a movie theater. And when he went and got his son, I really couldn't see him because he was walking behind him. The guy's so tall. So when he stepped out the way and I saw his son, I want to say this in the most respectable way possible, but his son kind of looked like maybe he was missing a genetic code. He was small. He was much thinner. He wasn't as sturdy, you know. And he seemed to maybe have had Down syndrome or something similar to that. And so I asked him, after I met the son and everything, and really, I mean, a really polite kid. And so I asked him, like, how did they actually do this? He was like, oh, this is all lab. They did this in the lab. I put in what I want, and they feed it into the system, and AI creates the progenitor. He was like, it's a program you sign up for. And I was like, well, where did the egg come from? He was like, I don't know nothing about that. I don't think they use the egg from a woman. And I was like, well, what they use? He was like, I don't even care about all of that. I'm in my 50s, and I didn't want to die before I raised a son. I didn't want to get too old. So I asked him, I was like, well, won't he benefit from a motherly energy? And he was just like, yeah, of course, but it's just not happening. And so I looked around on the street, and I didn't hardly see no couples. Everybody was single. Some people had holograms keeping them company that was walking down the street with them. They was talking to them and everything. And I was like, wow, this is the timeline being activated, and we are going to be triggered to learn how to create healthy, safe relationships so that this does not become our reality. And the last thing that I said to him was, I was like, I can tell that you are a genuine person. I really hate that this has happened to you. In my world, intimacy actually is on the decline, it's dying. And people are so afraid to be their true selves that our relationships are being destroyed because we were creating relationships based in a fear vibration, which is anchoring pedophilia, murder, poisoning, all of the stuff that we see that we know is happening. I was like, it's anchoring those things, and it's actually summoning entities from other parts of the galaxy here to feed, because we're producing a lot of suffering from the neurochemistry of anxiety, worry, fear, the list goes on and on. So I was like, it's actually making us more vulnerable to intergalactic warfare. And that's not what's supposed to be happening. A lot of us incarnated here to do something different. And I was like, thank you for being so open and talking to me about this. He didn't get offended, but I was like, I gotta ask these questions. And so yes, and his son did have, he said sometimes there are genetic miscodings. And he was just like, it happens. He was like, but at least I got a son. And that shit broke my heart. I woke up from that dream, and I set up, I did my routines. Like, I stick to my routines no matter what. It's so important to do that. And after I did that, I started writing, and I was like, what are we supposed to do to get off of that timeline? And so I've been creating content from that space. So if you haven't watched the other videos that I did, go back and watch those videos, because I'm streaming a consciousness that's really not common. And it is futuristic, and it is from the space of me being an oracle. I do see multiple timelines, and I can have a conversation with somebody, and I can see the events that are going to happen because of that conversation. And sometimes I just opt out of the conversation because I'm like, where I see this leading, 2 weeks from now, we're going to have to eat these words, and I don't want that on my plate. I don't want it on yours either. So it's a really interesting thing to be an oracle in this time, and to be of the lineage of the Sibyls, to be able to use my gift in this way. But yeah, it broke my heart, and I didn't want to leave. You know, I kind of just wanted to keep him and his son company, and the world was just so void of connection. There's no words to express how eerie it felt there, and yeah, I was just like, no. So after all of this, pull the card. Kali is what came up. All right, she represents destruction. It says destruction, chaos, oh so near. Don't let change instill a fear. Stand strong and watch the old decay. A new dawn welcomes you, hooray. By the power of the dark goddess in me, protection in place, blessed be. Turmoil, upheaval, disorder, and confusion have been your companions for a while. Now I know I ain't the only one to resonate with that one. So don't be alarmed when Kali the Destroyer enters your life, for she has appeared for good reasons. Something is about to end for you. And as you look through the eyes of Kali, the illusory, self-centered view of your reality adjusts, for she brings death to the self-centered view of life and the ego. Kali has orchestrated all that has been occurring for you lately, and affirms that in order to bring in something new, the old must be destroyed. Kali urges you to let go as you allow yourself to accept the end of certain situations or relationships. When you understand the cycle of life, of birth, death, and rebirth, the fear of change shall be no more. Change is simply a transition that is needed to escalate you further. As you allow Kali to safely escort you through any chaos and destruction, you can be assured that this ending is just the beginning. Don't give up. Keep going. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Everything happens for a reason. Release the old so the new can enter your life. Walk away from harsh energies. A new relationship is awaiting in the wings. Remember that everything is divinely timed. And she is the destroyer of Hindu origin as the embodiment of time. You know, they've been using CERN, so they've been manipulating Kali's energy, trying to. She ain't going for that shit. But yeah, they've been trying to, because they don't want us to have access. Kali devours all things. She is irresistibly attractive to mortals and gods, and also represents the benevolence of a mother goddess. Kali's dark skin is symbolic of eternal darkness, which has the potential to both destroy and create, and both are necessary. So this is where we are. This is rebirth. This is reconstruction. And it's beautiful. If you can learn to be grateful for every morsel in your life as it is unfolding, that's why I call it gangster gratitude. It's gangster because you're like, I'm not going to fold. No, I'm going to be grateful. I'm not going to fold. It don't matter how hard and difficult this is, it's going to be accomplished. I'm going to be grateful. You know why? Because if I didn't have the ability to go through these things, I wouldn't be going through it. I don't have a reason to not be grateful. Because everything that has ever been meant to kill me made me stronger. And everything that was meant to destroy me gave me new life. Why am I afraid of change? Why am I trying to keep things the same? And in so many relationships, they're not working because the partner is afraid of the other partner changing. And they want to keep them the same. And they don't want to be left behind. But ain't no left behind. We all have our own path and our own journey. That's old earth consciousness, as I've said many, many times before. So I'm going to get ready to get off here. What's up, the Panda? Mystique C Love 616. This was really nice. I got on here and gave y'all, what, like 2-3 hours of my life. I hope that this meant something to you. I didn't ask for donations, but if you would like to donate, feel free to do so. The links are always in the description. I'm going to get off here and nourish myself after giving so much. But listen to the videos. Tap in. Become a part of our VIP tribe on Patreon. It's so much over there. And yeah, I did not come to play. I came to slay every day. And I'm going to show up in every way. And you already know what we say. Man, your third eye has just been kissed. Peace. Ashe. Numi stay.